All right, here we are. Welcome everybody to the next in our series of virtual classes brought to you by the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, the Smithville Public Library, in partnership with our funding partners, Institute of Museum and Library Services, and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. Our director of our Smithville Public Libraries, Judy Bergeron, could not be with us this evening, so I promised her I would make sure that we gave all the appropriate thank yous to the various institutions. I want to welcome all of you for being here this evening. I'm so glad that this has been a helpful series for you. I know Canva is just a wonderful tool, and I'm excited to be able to offer this series and go up to Canva Iii now, brought to you by Anna Murray with Sundance Expressions. Before I turn off my camera, I want to remind you that if you want to ask Ms. Murray any questions, you can type them into the chat at the bottom of your screen. You just look for the little bubble that says chat underneath it, click on that, and type in your questions. I'm sure she will also be very happy to take your questions live from you. So without further ado, I will let Ms. Murray take it over. Ms. Murray.
Yay, wonderful. Thank you, April. And thank you all for being here. So excited that you've joined in, and hopefully those of you that are here for the first time, you had some experience in Canva. But if you don't, have no fear. It is a wonderful tool, and it is something that you can self-teach. And like April said, feel free to chat. I am like one of those people that sees a squirrel and gets distracted. So if you chat, I'm going to rely on April to help me out and interrupt me when you need to. And feel free to unmute yourself and ask me a question. So to get started, I need to share my screen. And I'll wait for April to allow that. April, are you there?
Yes, go ahead. You've got it.
Awesome. Thank you. It's good to keep me reined in, that's for sure. All right. So here we are. I'm going to minimize this little toolbar of images with Zoom. So I'm already in Canva. I wanted to show you that I actually created my slideshow, if you will, in Canva. And so I'm going to select present and go live from here just to show you another awesome tool within Canva. So I've presented 2 other Canva classes, as April had mentioned, and this is the 3rd one, of course, called Beyond the Basics. But I wanted to remind you, if you're still trying to decide whether or not you're going to use Canva, I highly suggest jumping in, creating an account, because this is such a wonderful tool. I've been using it for the last 3 or 4 years, and I can tell you that from my experience, I used it for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years before I went to the paid version. It's under $150 a year. I factor that out over a course of 12 months, and it's very, very reasonable, especially if you're creating either social posts or flyers, posters, or doing presentations. You can use this. There's a lot of other tools out there, but it's all in one. It's really nice. So that what you see on the screen, hopefully if you're not seeing the presentation of live Canva, that someone will let me know. But the ease of use, creative possibilities, and that whole learning process is so smooth.
Yes, that's what we can see. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, April. So if you do not have an account, simply go to www.canva.com, select sign up, follow the prompts, and there you go. I will tell you that they will encourage you to, or give you some please buy or please take the pro level, but I highly suggest going in and using the free version for a while, get familiar with it. Some of the things that you may see today, if you're using a separate screen right now, or you've minimized me and you're looking at your own screen to kind of follow along, you may think or see some features that I have that you don't, and that's simply because I have a paid version if you do not. So here are just a couple of examples of what I've done in Canva. So the top one is a simple Facebook post image. It's just taking a stock photo, adding a quote that goes along with the image, and that's for a Facebook post. You can tell the square size. And then below that is a Facebook event. It's pre-sized, and of course that's for my business. So that's for my Facebook cover photo. So if you went to my Facebook page, that's what you would see. And then over to the right, there is a poster for the Smithville fly-in that was in 2019. And I think that might have been canceled due to rain. That poor event has to deal with so much. If it's not COVID, it's rain. Something about planes and rain, I don't know. But you can see that there's a varied use of this, and I'll run over that real quick. So I'm going to click this link, which is a hyperlink right out of Canva, the presentation, into Canva My Account. I love this thing. This is what you'll see every time. And you'll have opportunities to look at all of these templates, which April was mentioning in our pre-recording or teaching chat, that the templates are just unbelievable. So if you're here for marketing purposes, you can see that you've got all of these pre-designed options. There's education, personal, social media, and of course, when you click on one of these, like an Instagram story or a Facebook post, they're already sized for that platform, which if you run a social media, excuse me, account supporting your business or organization, it's very important that you use the appropriate size images for each of those. So to repurpose a Facebook with Instagram with Twitter, you can do it, but it's better for each of those platforms to have their own particular sizing. So without any further ado, I'm going to take you over to the left, which is all your designs. So you can see I have my presentation that I'm working from here, and my mouse is just sitting over it, and it's just flipping through because it's a multiple page presentation. So you're getting an advanced look at all of that. And it did read at Canva II initially, and all the slides don't look the same, but that was the original that I just added to. The second one that I have here is for a social media Facebook post. And then I've got a couple of other items. What I want to do is, the last time that this class was presented last week, we worked on a poster and looking at all of the different features that we could add, move, adjust, etc. So I selected one that I've already been working on from the last class, but I simply went over to this area. Hopefully you can see my mouse, and there's the templates. And I typed in restaurant or taste of, and I got this really amazing template. I actually changed a lot of it up though. So at the bottom, this little zoom, 19%, I'm going to increase the size so you'll have a better view. That might be a little bit too big. I'll go to 50%. So I'm a little hesitant because April is on this training. That's tongue in cheek and a little fun, because the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce is known for presenting over 70 events a year, which we love. But as a member of the board, I hesitate to throw these ideas out. But for the purpose of the training, I decided to design a poster for an event. And so I selected this random taste of Smithville, which we do not have in Smithville. So this is just an idea, and created a poster. The poster I created at an 11 by 17, but when you save it, you can of course save it as a PDF or a PNG or a JPEG and other size as well. And then you can print them at different sizes. So I hope I didn't go over that too fast. If I did, we have a chat coming in. There's a question. Let me see. Maybe I can answer this. Oh, that's what I figured. No, April, but thank you very much. When we need a 74th event, holler at me. So the Taste of Smithville is the name of this fake event. And we have a picture of spaghetti in the background, a beautiful stock photo. I'm going to minimize the size real quick because in the pre-class chat, one of the participants asked a question about how did I get that size, that photo stretched. This is actually, I need to unlock it. And the only reason I locked it is if I brought any other image in, it would overtake it because it's over here on the left under elements. And I can run down, I can scroll to not frames. There it is, grids. When I select grid, it's going to fill up the entire cover. So that's what I had done. I'm simply going to undo that. And if I were to click on the image, which you can see this blue line dots, and these are adjustable. See how that moves? I can delete this image. And then I can delete the grid, or I can do it all at one time. It all goes away. No fear, no worries, no stress. I select the undo button and it all comes back. So if I wanted to change that image, I could search over here in the photos, which there are thousands of free stock photos. So let me just tell you from a copyright standpoint, if you're using Canva to promote your business, you're okay. These are free stock images. If you have an account in Pixabay, which is another angle for free, you have to really watch that one though. You'll see a lot of the same images, which I was seeing early on. And so now I just live in Canva for my stock photos. If I do not have my own that I have taken with my own camera for my own business. All right, so this is a taste of Smithville. Here's spaghetti. Maybe I want to change it to barbecue. Let's see if BBQ works. It does. Check that out. I'm going to select this one with these, looks like pork chops on there. And it automatically places that image on top of my project. Now, I want that to fill the screen. Remember, this is from the grid under elements. Oops, I went too far. I apologize. It's under grids. And then because I unlocked it, it means it's live. If I place my mouse in the middle of that pork chop image and move it, it now fills up the screen. The beautiful part is, if I don't want that placement, if I want it off on the thirds, then I can double click, which gives me, there's the large image. What this is really good for is how it expands the image without pixelating it, so it doesn't skew the quality of the image. So I want to move it around a little bit and get a different view. I'm going to check this so I don't have the full pork chop covering the entire screen. That looks a little different. And I'm going to move it around until I find just the image that I like. I kind of like that one. It gives a brighter color towards the top, but it really captures that beautiful pork chop at the bottom. It's been a long time since I've had cooked meats as a vegetarian. So if I'm wrong on the pork chop, don't hold it against me. So with that, I just wanted to show a little refresher on how to change out the images. Now let's pretend that I don't want that there. I've changed my mind. I want to go back to the spaghetti. At the top, this back, which is, you can also use the undo Control+Z. I don't go there. I just hit this select back button until I get back to where I want, knowing that if I pull an image of any sort, like if I took this logo at the bottom and I move it, it's going to fill the page. So I'm going to protect my work by locking it. That way, if I take this logo that I have at the bottom and I move it, it doesn't affect, obviously I had two there, it does not affect the image. Let me show you what happens if this image, which I have to click on, unlock it, and I take this Keep Smithville Beautiful, it covers the whole page. But don't worry, I didn't let go. I'm going to bring it right back down. And if I'm concerned about where my placement is, I can select the undo at the top right. Again, I want to lock that spaghetti picture because I worked very hard on placing that picture. I'm going to select, notice how you have the white dots and these adjustable lines, select lock, and there I am. I'm happy. Now what I've done, you may notice earlier that there were a couple of pages. Now again, this is a fake event. It is not $35 per head, and it is not going to occur, or it did not occur, on July 29, 2018. So I pulled in some random sponsors. Of course, the chamber is involved in everything in Smithville, so the chamber's always on there. But I thought when I was building this, what I was trying to show is that if you have a general theme, but you want to change images, instead of going and recreating from scratch every time, or instead of selecting file and making a copy and then having a completely separate tab, you can actually create your multiple images in one slide set. Now, and when you save these, if I were to go over to downloads, I've got 3. And my idea here was, if we were to have a Taste of Smithville and say we were going to highlight 3 restaurants, one was a burger joint, one was barbecue, and one was a winery. Well, I wouldn't want to put barbecue and a winery in the same, or maybe I would. But one of the options I could take is to specialize each poster of this event. So I have the general theme. You can see that I've tried to work with the general theme, my title, names of the restaurants, the date, the sponsors. None of that has changed from poster to poster to poster. But if I wanted to highlight our restaurant that has the spaghetti, I could go in here, not only add the image of the spaghetti plate, but where I have the restaurants listed, I could list that restaurant that has the spaghetti first or only. So I have a lot of options there. And when I come to the second poster, if the Backdoor Cafe was the one that has the burgers, I might list them first. Me, visually, I like the stacking of sizing of the actual title, because it doesn't become all jumbled with, like if I had a, Backdoor Cafe, Your Mom's Old World, it just the way it stacks. But you have to be happy with what you build, or what you build for whoever you're working for. And I learned that from someone on here, and I appreciate that. Be happy with what you're doing before you ask that other person if they're happy. So that was my thinking there. And when I go to download, because this is going to live, this is a live program, and this was built, I should give you a brief history break. Canva was built on the premise that Photoshop is a high level program. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of time. And if you use Photoshop, I'm impressed. I have Photoshop and I dabble in it because I just want to. I want to learn Photoshop. But I can create much more efficiently in Canva. And when I can't quite get something, I shift over to Photoshop, and then I will struggle with that for a while. Either way, I'm successful, but Canva, you can get high quality product. Canva was built on the premise that not everyone has the time, the energy, or the ability to really delve into the complexities of Photoshop when you can get that here. And of course, Photoshop is now an online tool. It was not in the past. Canva started as an online tool, and you can use this for free, where Photoshop you cannot. All right, I don't work for Photoshop. I don't work for Canva. Did I say that? If I did, I might make some money in an affiliate program. No. So getting back to what you're wanting to learn, I've got 3 posters here. Say I only want to print this one, this page 3. I would go to the download arrow, select download. My options here, first of all, I have the PNG, which is great for online. JPEG is even better when you're going to email a file, because it's a smaller file size. And if you already know this, please bear with me. I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. And then you can also download as a standard PDF or a print. Print is the one that has the highest quality, as you can tell by the words that are shared right there with it. What I typically do when I design for other people, I design and I download the JPEG, because it doesn't take up as much room in their inbox. But when they're ready to say, I love it, because they love it, I go back and I download the PDF print, which is the highest quality, and I send it over. And then they do with it what they want. You can also turn this nice poster into a GIF, which is quite amazing, but that's for another day. So I want to select the PDF print because we are good to print. But then my next option is I can actually select crop marks and bleed, which what that does, it doesn't automatically show it here. But what that does is if you're going to send this to a printer, it'll actually allow the overlap without having that white border around the entire poster. And it's a preference of the individual. It's also a little bit cost difference, but typically in these parts, we have some really wonderful printers, and they don't charge an arm and a leg for the difference, but there is a difference. So if you're on a budget, consider that. So that's my second option for downloading. My third one is which pages, because remember I have 3 posters. I can select my down arrow, and maybe I only want to download 1. I'm done, and I download, and it will populate in my toolbar, and I'll save it wherever I save it on my computer. The other option is that I can download all 3, and then it comes in and I extract it. That is a step-by-step process on your computer, and you have all your files. Okay, let me get out of this because I do not want to do that. What I wanted, if you have any questions, please jump in. I tend to get going and start chattering, and I don't always slow down. But those are some things that I thought you might be interested in knowing. The other thing that I wanted to point out is many times when we're promoting an event, we have not only, we may have a physical location where we want to be able to print some items, whether it's on our home computer or business, home printer or business printer, or we send it off to a print shop. That's great if you have traffic that's going to see that across your window or in other areas around town. But if you're wanting to get this out in other areas such as social media, you would want to have a social media sized item. This, yes, you can share it there, but it's not the best. So I'll show you what to do. I'm going to go over to the toolbar, the blue toolbar that is Canva, and I'm going to select the resize. So I have my poster, which remember is an 11 by 17. So when I started this project, I created a custom size poster. I can do any size I want within reason, trust me there. So now I want to change this because this is going to be a big event in July of 2018, April, that I want to also have this as a Facebook event cover. And I don't want to recreate. I don't want to start over. So this is one of the really nice parts of Canva is the efficiency of the tools that are built within. So I'm going to select Facebook event, but I want to show you a couple things first. Instagram, Facebook cover, which is different from an event cover. And then anything else you could possibly think of. Facebook post, Twitter is on here. And of course, you could turn this into an 8.5 by 7 if you had a need to do a direct mailer or whatever. Understand that you can also type in your own custom size. But for this particular class, I'm going to show a Facebook event cover, not my Facebook cover. Notice they are different sizes. Be wise to that, especially if you're running a social media page. So I'm going to select Facebook event cover. One thing I caution you, if you don't want to lose your original work, select copy and resize, which will open up a separate tab, which is a separate project, but it brings in all the elements and it's going to be skewed, I promise. If I select resize, it's going to change this poster, which was an 11 by 17 down to a 1920 by 1080 pixel size. Okay, go back and listen to all this or ask me questions if I'm confusing you, please. So I want to save my original. I want to copy this for the design elements, but I want to resize it to be used differently. So the magic is happening, boom. Holy mackerel, look at the difference, which is wonderful. So it shows I have all 3. Don't worry, I'm not going to work on all 3. I'm just going to work on this one. And for your benefit, I'm going to trash these other 2 so we can stay focused on one. First thing I always like to do is change the title from copy of to these are my abbreviations that when I go to save it, it's already written out and it saves as far as what I'm looking for later. So Taste of Smithville Facebook event. All right, you know that I can't just skew this. It will not look good. I might want to change some things in many ways, right? I could change things in many ways. But what I'm going to do is first I'm going to unlock my main image. I'm going to check out what did I leave behind it. Silliness. So I'm going to, nope, that's not silliness. I needed that. Okay. So I'm going to place this back where it goes. I go into the undo, and I'm going to go ahead and select both the large background cover, which enhanced that picture of the spaghetti that we placed last time, and the picture of the spaghetti. Notice that I have a double blue line, which means I have selected the first and the second main feature. If I want to select more, then I would need to come outside of both of those and then grab. See how they're starting to highlight? The Taste of Smithville didn't. That is an indication that it is locked. So I'm going to let go, click out of it, and I'm going to unlock Taste of Smithville if I want to grab all of the design elements. Now, right now I do not. So individually, I'm going to take Taste of Smithville. It's hidden underneath my dots. The lock button is. I'm going to lock that down. I'm going to take You're Invited To, and I'm going to select the More, lock that down, and I'm going to take my restaurants. And again, go back and lock. The reason I'm doing that is I like right now how those design features are sitting together because it's consistency from one design size to the next. So I'm going to try to keep my design within each of the different sizes. So right now, the reason I'm not locking these at the bottom is I have no desire to grab those. I don't need to. So again, click outside, select them both. Then I can take one of the dots, the four corners, and I can start moving my image. Now what this is doing is now I have filled, even though it came from a grid, it wasn't set initially in this size, so then I have to move it. The beautiful part is it keeps it properly sized where it doesn't skew it. Now I have them both selected still, and I want my spaghetti to come up just a little bit more. Okay, notice how I have the crosshairs, the XY axis is actually what I should say. That tells me that the picture is in the middle, but that's taking into account the entire image. So don't let that get you too flustered. I'm mainly looking for the center from left to right, not up and down. So this is pretty good. I like it. I'm going to lock these down. Then I'm going to come back into my invited, unlock it. I'm going to unlock my title. I'm going to unlock my restaurants for now. Excuse me. Now I want to move them, but not only do I want to move them, I kind of want to move them to the right now as I'm working this, because I'm not 100% how I want this to look, but I have a good idea. I'm going to grab those three features, and then I'm going to stretch them where they'll stay in proportion to each other. If I wanted to do it the long way, I could move them one at a time over. So I could move this You're Invited To, I could move Taste of Smithville, and I could move the restaurants. Well, that's going to take a lot of time as far as me lining them up properly. Luckily, they have these nice little grids that pop in, but sometimes it's not as clean and clear as you might want it to be. I can rely on that, or I can increase my size of my image, and then I can really get into the details here. Am I lined up? Do I want this taller? Do I want this shorter, closer to? I'm going to go back to the 50%. Nope. I'm going to go back to the 25. And I'm going to undo all those little moves I did to show you what it looks like when I grab all three of them. Remember, I've locked this image. Test that by click it, and you'll see the lock appear. Click out of that. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3 design elements. Now I'm in a grid. There are two things I can do here. I can group them, or I can just move them. I prefer to group them because now all those will stay together in their own box. It's like it's one design element. If you wanted to change that, there is the ungroup option. But for now, this works great. I can move it all at one time. And I can also select one of the dots and I can enlarge. So now it really stands out. Now remember, hang on, let me check this question. Be sure to type in your question. Oh, thank you, April. Since this is a Facebook event cover, so this is going to go on Facebook, it's going to be the image that gets people's attention for an event. I don't need the who, what, when, where, why, and how on this image. I mainly need the name of the event, an eye-catching image, maybe a date, and more than likely your sponsors. Always throw the love out to your sponsors, right? Especially if you can within that cover. So what I actually could do, since this is just a Facebook event, this information here, I'm going to move it back, because when I expanded this, I actually put it over the top of another graphic. And if I want to grab those as a group and not touch this one, then I suggest two things from experience. First things first, I'm going to position it by moving it backward. Did you see it's real faint, but right there, if I go forward, see how the O in old world gets lighter and darker? So that's moving the 3 items to the back, but I don't want to go too far because I'll put it behind the picture. The nice part is I can keep moving it. Now it's disappearing. Oh my gosh, don't panic. I can bring it back. I go into the forward. All right, I've got it where I want it to be, I think. So I'm going to lock it. And then I'm going to click out. Now you don't see those lines. And I want to move this oval and the date. And I don't need to worry because everything is locked, but I don't want moved. And I can move this over right here. And the reason the oval is back there was to try to bring more attention to the date, the time, and the price in the original, instead of letting it get lost in the actual image. And of course, my sponsors here, I could or could not move them and do the same design with, use the same features with them. So what that would be, move this up here. It's not the best. This is just to show you. I could come down here and select, and of course I could expand, or this might be something that I actually redesign initially and stack them to the top, to the side. It all depends on how it flows. I want to show them the love, so I don't want to take them off. But for this purpose, I'm just going to move them down to the bottom. Now, if I want this background to be a little less stark, then I can select the transparency and I can let it roll just a little so where it's not as obvious. Because the main idea here with an event cover, right, is to promote an event. The Taste of Smithville is the event. The picture is food related. Oh, it's that kind of taste. It may be a wine or a beer or a cider or whatever, but this is a food. So I want to make sure that that information goes out. I have some little design feature there that I need to get rid of. Doesn't make sense. All right, so with all that, I've got some things moved around. I may want to remove, check and see if I have it grouped. I do not. I want to get rid of the oval. So I simply find where I can just select the oval and select the trash can. It's a little muted. Be aware of that. You have those options within that you can bold. You may have to change the actual font. Not all fonts have the capacity to be bolded, but many times this is Roboto condensed. I wonder if there's a Roboto bold. No, but if I go back, now I have different options you can see. I'm going to choose the regular Roboto. Notice how the bold feature was added. Now I can bold it and it gives it a little bit more pop. Something to consider. A lot of things you can work with here. Some of the things that I've been going, I'm going to move from just the basic design to showing you some other things that I have found recently that are pretty fantastic. I can hide this bar and bring this closer to the middle. And I'm going to increase the size just a little bit. I want to show you a couple of the effects. Remember, I locked this feature, so I want to unlock it. And then I'm going to go ahead and ungroup it because I just want to work with Taste of Smithville. You have many options here. You can change the font, the size, the color of the text. You can underline. I could select this uppercase. Look at how it changes everything instantly. And when it resizes like that, you can spread this bar until it fits. I'm going to go back, or you can come over to your decreased font size, excuse me, until it fits. So I'm going to go back. Might take me a minute or less. Yay, there it is. I can also, within the box, within this blue box, I can work on the alignment. I can go from that, oh, what's that word, but it spreads it in spaces. This is a big newspaper thing. But I can left justify, center, right justify. For this one, that's what I chose. So you have these other elements also, like the bulletin of the list or the numbering. And then there's spacing. This is a really nice tool. Let me see if I can move this a little bit. Oops. So for spacing, I can change how close the letters are to each other. I can get them real tight where you can't read anything, or I can spread them out. Now it looks like it's cursive. Now it looks like individual lettering. Pretty fantastic, if you ask me. The other is your height. This is how your lines stack on top of each other. So then you can spread them way apart, or you can bring them on top of each other. Sorry, I think I'm getting a little goofy, but I had ice cream this afternoon. Probably too much sugar. And then here's the piece I was really trying to get to, are the effects. Put it back where I had it. I'm going to go to effects. This is a really cool part. These are some features that have been brought on here recently. Sorry, it's sensitive to the click. You have the shadow option. So if I select shadow, notice how it immediately puts a shadow on my lettering. And I can change, always select your element that you're working on. I'm in the shadow, and then it gives you all of these options. I can offset it to go really far or just right off. I can change it to one side or the other, top or bottom. And then of course I can blur it. That's kind of sweet. And then the transparency is going to matter. See how it gets darker? Now it's white, right? I can change that color. And one of the things that we discussed last time is when you have an image or a logo, many times you're going to get your document colors populate, especially when you have logos. And then you can choose a color from within all of those, the colors that are already in the image or your logo. This one, probably because it's more of a copy. Let me see what happens here. I'm going to unlock that. I'm going to go back to my Taste of Smithville. Yeah, it didn't. But if I wanted to stay within the same colors, I could select this beige, if you will, or I apologize, go back to the color selection. I can go to this new color option and I can actually type in the hex number, or I can go in, right now it's feeding off of this main color that I was using, and I can use something in the hue of that actual color. See how it changes everything? Or I can go really wild and random and show you how bold and how that can be. If I want to get back to maybe making that darker, I select outside of that box and I take the transparency level and then I increase that. I use blue so it would stand out, but I don't think I would use blue in this unless it's your favorite color and I work for you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just being silly. So with that, I'm going backwards. You can see that. I kind of like that. It's kind of interesting how it ties in with the color of the spaghetti. But that design feature is in under effects. And because I didn't have anything selected, I had all these other options show up. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's endless, endless. Here's one of my favorite tools though. I'm going to show you something. It's going to be randomly wild, I think, but let me make sure that my image is not locked. I'm going to select the image. I'm going to go to effects. Now, if I was in Photoshop and I wanted a true PNG with a transparent background, I would go in and choose a lot of tools, a couple of tools, and then do some fine tuning. Canva has added here in the last 6 months a background remover. So let's see what happens. It should only impact the image. See what happens. There are better ways to, there it goes. So it's going to do its magic. It's working. My hands are, see, I'm not driving. It's on autopilot right now. It's doing all the work. It's pulled my image, and it's going to show me what happens when it takes the background out. We did this in the Canva II, if you wanted to go back and look at that. Now, it has taken all the background table off, and now I have a blue background. I'm going to decrease the size of this. I'm going to make this image smaller. Let's see how it changes the design as it is. I'm going to bring it back up. Oops, too big. And select. See the absolute difference, because we had the background which helped with a muted color. So it totally changes everything. But if you ever wanted to take an image of yourself or someone you're working for, and you wanted to put them in front of a background that they were not at, say the mountains, you could do that. You could get your background picture of the mountains, and then you could put that other person in front of the mountains, and then select that, remove the background, and it looks like they're standing at the mountains or in front of them. It's something that you should play with. It's really fun. I enjoy it anyway. I think I went back to where I was. I think so. All right, you guys. Other effects that you can see, you have all of these pixelations. It'll show you how to change the image. I don't think we'll do that. We're not going to go that route, but it can just totally skew your pictures. It depends on what you're designing, right? You can change the color mix. I don't think that it looks like a very enticing plate of spaghetti, but the idea is the options are really endless. I was playing with this earlier today. There's a little drop shadow effect. It doesn't work good in this. It worked good in something else I was using. The options, opportunities, endless, from templates, uploading your own images, using stock photos, elements, etc. So before I make your head spin any more than it possibly may be right now, I think I should stop and ask if anyone has any questions, and go back here, show you the rest of there we are, questions. And if you have any questions, while you're thinking of your questions, interject anytime or drop something in the chat. I do want you to know that I've started a podcast I'm very excited about, helping small business owners that are struggling or not, just want some advice. I've been running a business for 4 years on the side. I also have a full-time career, but this is a little love of mine that I'm putting out there to share what I've learned and bringing other individuals on to also provide some advice. We have a chat. Let me check this real quick. Is there a template for Facebook main page? Oh, yes, ma'am, there is. Let me go back. Get started. When you go in, so April asked the question of, is there a Facebook main cover? Absolutely. If you wanted to start from scratch, you would go to create a design, and you can actually type in Facebook cover, and there you go, and it gives the sizing for that. Or if you wanted to take your, let me see if I can find it underneath all this, somewhere in here. If I wanted to take this, where's my copy? There it is. If I wanted to resize this to, right now it's a Facebook event cover, and now that I've got it perfect and everyone's going to want to come to this event, now I want to make a Facebook cover. I can select this, and again, I don't want to lose my event size, so I'm going to copy and paste, copy and create, And now this is sized differently because everything is hidden up underneath my share screen tabs. I hope you trust me, the sizes change. So I would rename this also. Remember, rename, rename, rename. This is not an event. It is simply a cover. So that would go on the front page of your Facebook page. And does Canva interact with Outlook so you can create a newsletter? Drop into an email? Yes, ma'am. Let me go back to home. Awesomeness. And let me go to news templates and get all this off of here. Where is my newsletter? Under marketing. Now I'm going to templates. So here's a newsletter. And these are many, and this, you'll find this in all of those options under templates. They have pre-built. If I were to go to posters, I would be able to show you, what was I doing? Templates, poster. Oops, what? I don't think so. That doesn't happen. I'm in the country. So here you have a newsletter templates that you can build from, and you simply select them and run with it. Or you can go to create a design and type in the word newsletter. And now you have a blank. And once you get your own feel, design, of course, you resize it at the bottom, make it larger so you can see it better, work with it easier. And you can add, you can duplicate pages or go with a template already. I will tell you, and then of course, here you have some to the left. You'll see the newsletter templates come up here also. I do caution you a little. One thing that I've loved about Canva from the moment I started paying for it to now, they're constantly updating, constantly. Wonderful features. One thing they need to work on is when you type in that you have an editing or a spell check or a grammar check. They don't have that feature yet that I'm aware of. So my default action when I build a newsletter in Canva is I create it in Word or Google. And once I have it, then I copy it over because I like the design features for the images and the fonts and the spacing and all of those features a lot better than I do on both Google and Microsoft Word. So I use both, and I'm certain, I feel very confident that in the future they'll have that tool. So thank you for the questions. And are there any other questions? Oh my gosh, there's another one. If you use the Grammarly plugin for it. Ooh, thanks, Megan. Boom. Now, Megan, tell me, do you use the free version or do you have a paid Grammarly? Because it probably wouldn't matter. But if you had some insight, please share. Use the free? Awesome. Girl, thank you for that. I'm going to be adding that to mine because I hate it when I can't check it and then I print it and I'm like, oh.
So I want to clarify a question that I asked Ms. Murray
yes.
about the newsletter. Because so I know there's some fantastic newsletter templates. My question is, if I wanted to create a newsletter that I wanted to drop into Outlook, that would then just be right there on the page and I could email it to people as opposed to having it be an attachment.
Yes, you can drop that in when you save it as an image and then you drop it into the body instead of attaching. So you add it like an image. And so
I can include like clickable links and stuff like that, or is it just a static image?
No, you can add that. Let me, under all these things here somewhere. Is it there? Sorry, let me find this real quick. I've got way too many tabs open. That is a great thing that you mentioned. Thank you for that. I need to unlock it to work on it, but one of the options that I forgot to mention was this. This is a link. So
okay, great.
This is a clickable link. Now, because it is in an email, which is a web-based, it is clickable, I have found. So if I take that image and I post it on a website and it has a link on it, you can click it. The only thing I don't think you can click it on is your social accounts like Facebook. It's not clickable on the image. but you can in an email and on the website or a website. So thank you for that clarification. Is there anything else that I can answer for anyone? You guys, I appreciate your help and questions, and I really appreciate you being here and supporting the Chamber's efforts to help small businesses and organizations grow. And this is me. So if you need help or you know anyone that needs help, I offer consultation as well as the actual work. And my name is Anna Murray. Thanks for playing. Oh, I have 7 minutes. I better use my time wisely.
Ms. Murray, thank you very much for offering such a great class. I'll remind you, those of you that are logged in today, that our instructors are always very happy to follow up with your questions from any of the classes that you've taken. And this class, as well as all the other mini classes that we've been offering over the last few months, are all available on the Chamber's website at smithvilletx.org. Simply click on the events tab. There's a drop down at the very top of the page. Click on events, and then you see right there, one of the options is our virtual class series. On that page, you'll see all the many upcoming classes that we have, from things like Canva to how to build your own website, how to create an online store. There are financial classes. There are business planning classes. There are just lots and lots of great classes. And again, I want to thank our partners, the Smithville Public Library, the Texas State Library and Archives Commission, and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Please, you can see Ms. Murray's contact information here in the chat, or of course, this class will be available, as I said, on our website and our Facebook page. I'm sure it'll be up within the next day or so. So thank you all for being here. And while I have a captive audience, I'll invite you as well to check out the Chamber's calendar. There's lots of great upcoming events, so be sure and come out and enjoy our community and do some great things here in Smithville, Texas. And with that, that concludes our class. Thank you, Ms. Murray, again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.